So how you guys doing today?
Doing all right.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Yep.
I
Happy to
just
be here.
I just finished watching Time Now.
Oh,
And
gee.
I guess my first question is for Spencer. Are you from Detroit? Because I have noticed that not only this movie, but some of your other projects are Detroit based or Detroit focused as well.
So I lived in Detroit for about 5 years, and I actually left Detroit uh, right before the pandemic started. So still
So
has a place in my heart, though.
see, I'm from Toledo, so I know like Detroit's just about 40 minutes away. So that's why I was curious when I was watching the film.
What did you
Um,
say? I'm sorry. You're from where?
oh, Toledo.
Oh,
Toledo.
really? Cool.
Yeah, yeah. So just up the street.
So you
Um,
grew up
Mhm.
doing some emo house shows in Toledo.
yes, exactly. Yes, precisely. That was the scene. Uh,
I've done it a little bit, man.
well, so let's talk about the movie. Let's talk about Time Now. I want to ask. I've seen the whole thing. I'm gonna try to avoid spoilers because I know that it has not premiered yet. Although this should be releasing after the premiere. But my question is, why Time Now? Why did you choose that name?
Um, well, the time when I really conceived this project, I was a lot more of a little bit of an art school hipster. Um, and there was like a very long title to it that I don't even want to get into, honestly. Um, uh, but it's really sat with me for a long time. I really, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. Like, I really like the sound of it at this point. Um, and it's changed. The meaning of it has really changed for me over the process. I wrote this script, the first draft of this script, in 2016. So I mean, it's been a long time. I was a different person at that time. That's the tough thing. I lived in Michigan. All my friends are musicians. They have a feeling, they do it, they get it out, and they're done with it, and they move on. Film is like, people ask me questions. I'm like, man, I was a different person when we started this. But that, like I was saying, that title has really grown with me, and um, it's something I deal with. I try and live in the moment. I try and be aware. I try and, when I'm talking to people, not be thinking about things in my head. Try and be there. Try and listen. And I think that's something that every character in this film is dealing with at a certain level, is being present, and the debate between looking after yourself, trying to better yourself going forward for your future, versus being there and like, you don't want to lose that moment. Things might slip by you really quickly when you're not present. You're walking around, you miss things sometimes. And there's my little spiel. I hope it sounded good.
Oh no, yeah, definitely answered my question. But I want to switch to Eleanor so that we don't just kind of push her in a corner the entire time and take
Ooh,
her from
very
time out.
comfortable in a corner.
um, so Eleanor, how did you get involved with this? How did you get involved? And do you have a history with Spencer, or is this something that?
My first phone call with Spencer was when Spencer asked me to do this. I actually worked at his mom's documentary production company as a production coordinator for like 9 months. And that was it. That was our connection. And Spencer, I was an employee, and I think, I had just begun to act. I had just started my acting classes, and I think word of mouth from mom, sweet
So,
mom.
oh yeah, your mom. So your mom, not to talk about her too much, but she's awesome. Like, Why the Last Man was my favorite comic book, and 20 years later, seeing her elevate this character has been amazing.
So
Um,
cool.
but back to you, in this movie, you wear a lot of jewelry. You wear a lot of rings. Your ears have multiple piercings. Your nose. I was curious if that's something that you carried from your personal life. I know you've done modeling, or if that was for the
Yeah.
character herself.
I'm pretty much always in jewelry. The only reason I don't wear it so much anymore is because I didn't go outside for like 6 months we were all trapped indoors. And so I was like, I guess I don't really, I mean, I wasn't wearing anything besides pajamas. So I was like, I don't need to wear these rings. And then I sort of just got used to not wearing jewelry. But no, that was those are all my rings and my earrings, and I've had my nose pierced since I was like 15, and yeah, that was all me. I mean, it was all my wardrobe. Obviously, there was a discussion and choices made about Jenny.
Right.
But yeah.
So Spencer, you obviously you kind of picked this cast. You obviously you spoke with Eleanor. Were any of the people that you worked with Detroit natives, or did you have to relocate everybody to relocate everybody to film?
Yeah, most of the actors were Detroit natives, actually. There was Eleanor, Claudia, who plays Aunt Joan, Xavier plays Cash, um, and Paige, who plays Tanya, and those are the New Yorkers. And then the rest are, or actually Claudia's LA, excuse me. But then the rest were Detroit based. And the crew was all Detroit too.
And I saw like after the credits, there was lots of thanks for like Detroit Police Department, Detroit this and that. So did you have any issues like pandemic wise where you had to kind of get around red tape with the police and things like that, or was this done prior to the pandemic?
Yeah, this was done like 1.5 million years ago, it feels like now, but this was done in April 2019. So I didn't even, you know, wasn't
Yep.
even thinking about washing my hands for 20 seconds.
Yeah, that was right before lockdown, really.
Yeah.
So you guys got lucky with that.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that pushed back the production aspect of it to where the movie may have premiered earlier if it weren't for the pandemic.
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, I know that it changed the whole festival landscape. Um, and who knows where we would have landed. I know that festivals got a little more particular, and we honestly, I think it was a blessing for us. It really gave us some time to, when this first ended, talking about back to the title, Time Now, Living in the Moment or whatever, when this first ended, like, I was leaving Detroit shortly after, and there was this real sense of urgency. Um, really want to get it done and get it out there and make another movie and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I mean, the pandemic obviously reprioritized everything for everyone. And I think for this film, I'm very close with our editor. And we really took the time to get it down to the point where, you know, I feel decent about it now and stuff. And yeah, so I think the pandemic it may have actually helped out the final product of this film.
Hmm. So to switch back to you, Eleanor, did you work with any of the other cast members on this before, or did you have to kind of figure out chemistry with everybody as you started filming?
So Paige and I were in, before I did my 2-year acting program, I did a 6-week intensive because I had never acted before. And I thought I should probably do, right. But before I jump into 2 years, let me just make sure that this, ignites me. And wow, it really did. But so I actually met Paige in that we were in the same class together. Zay, I met right before I went to go see him do a reading at the Nuevo Yorkeños. Like it's a staple of the Lower East Side.
And Zay's is
open mic
Xavier
night.
the act. Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, sorry, Xavier. Yes, he
No,
goes
that's
by
okay.
I call him Zay. Sorry, yes.
I just wanted to
Xavier.
make sure we're talking about the
Yeah,
same guy.
person. And then Claudia, I met on set, or I met before going on set, and that was honestly, I mean, Claudia is like my fairy godmother. Honestly, if I know this movie was made for all the reasons, and one of the reasons is so that Claudia and I could meet. I tell myself that anyway.
So this question kind of goes for both you guys. There was the child, obviously Jennifer's child is very young. The child actor was it tough to, get his scenes landed, or was he used to acting and getting chemistry with older actresses and actors already prior to this film?
No, it wasn't easy, and he was not used to that. No, he was great. He actually was, but he had no acting experience prior to this. We were actually just talking about this yesterday with Jenny or with Eleanor and Claudia. Claudia had so much experience coming into this, and she'd really been through everything. And there were certain things that I didn't know how to handle. You know, I was 22 directing this, and really had no experience with kids. And Claudio was great. I mean, he was really good though. He was really chill. His parents were there for all of it, of course. And you know, they were really supportive too. We got really lucky. There was a lot of things that worked out for us that we just kind of assumed would work out, that in hindsight shouldn't have assumed that, but they did.
Yeah.
And no, it was a good experience with working with him. And Eleanor and you know, you had your little son for a moment.
Yeah, it was. And I know it was funny for me also was, you know, Jenny is not particularly intimate with her child. There's no real moments of intimacy. So, you know, offset, I'm like goofing off with this kid, and then on camera it's like, go in the room, you know, kind of. So that was funny. But Claudia, oh my gosh, Claudia totally, you know, kind of swooped in and really helped with, you know, having a young kid on set is just, it is what it is. And I will also say, just a lot of stuff just kind of came out of him natural. Like some of the screams and stuff were like him being done with us,
like with the donut on his face,
well.
like when he screamed with all the donut chocolate on his face.
But it worked perfectly. Like it was a perfect moment, you know. We like Spencer said, we got really lucky, and you know, and yeah, having his parents there definitely obviously helps.
So there's lots of alcohol in this, Eleanor, that your character drinks throughout the entire film. I was curious what you were actually drinking and throwing back during this, because there's no way you drank that much alcohol. So was it water?
We made the rosé. That was like a concoction of sorts. It was not flavored, but it was colored.
Can I tell the story?
Yeah, you tell the story.
So,
go for it.
The first shot of the film, so the first day, all the party scenes at the warehouse, those were the first 2 days of the shoot. So, which was a tough decision, you know, like, do we do the stuff with a million extras and get it over with first and like put all of our effort into it, or do you save that for later once you got a little more of a groove? And the first scene of the film is Jenny the long walk. It's a one take where she walks in there, the door opens, she walks, she looks at the paintings, and then she comes and talks to Tanya at the bar. And I don't want to throw it. Everything worked out. This was a crew. It was everyone was, you know, very nervous on this first day. And we didn't replace the alcohol in that first shot. The fake alcohol wasn't put in there on accident, of course. And the actors didn't, I mean, you guys didn't know. And it was a 7-minute one take. And it ends with the shot. And I think it was Paige who responded. She was like, "Oh my God, this is real freaking Hennessy."
Yeah, it was a real. But you know what? I think it was to our benefit, because it definitely loosened us up for the second take.
I wish I had taken a shot. I was super nervous about
that. Spencer, you felt so bad about that. I was honestly like, "Oh, like it's great. It's like." Yeah, totally fine. But
I like that you
about saying that. I realized as I was saying that I don't want it to sound like I'm throwing anyone under the bus. Our art department was so stepped up so big time in this, and art and props and stuff, and so it was funny.
It's one of those things that, like, you know, also like you said, it was day one, and it's the scene with the most moving pieces. You know, there's like 1,000 things to be aware of, and it's day one. And we're all like finally together, meeting each other, you know, that day, a lot of us. So.
And real quick, just because I feel a little bad for just saying that, our art department, what they did with that warehouse was a 4-day turnaround. We had a whole last minute thing, and they built that whole warehouse in literally 4 or 5 days.
Unbelievable.
With very few resources, and it was amazing. So props to art.
That's awesome. So you're talking about the art, and I know you had mentioned that you were in art school. did you pick out art? Did you commission art? Did you do any of the art for this film yourself? Because there's lots of art, and that was one of the things I had wanted to ask about.
Well, I don't think if I had done any of the art, it would have gotten into the Austin Film Festival. Um, so Stevie Miller is her name. She went to college for creative studies. She did all the paintings. They're beautiful, fantastic. She did a great job.
Yeah.
That's awesome. As far as the music goes, that was the other side of that, the artistic part that I wanted to ask. Did you have this music specifically created for this? Like the songs that Cash sings or performs?
Yeah.
Is that stuff that was created by artists for this film, or is it like any of the stuff that you had pulled? I know there were 4 songs listed in the credits, so I was curious to how those came about.
Yeah, well, the 2 songs that Cash performs, and you know what? It's only 1 song now, but there were 2 original songs written for him by my friend who is a good musician in Detroit, Tobin Suave, and so we all worked together. Me, Tobin, Zay, and Dwelle were in the booth.
So sick.
3 nights before the shoot, and we had been trying to, you work with musicians, it goes down to the last minute. I have some experience with that. And it's usually at about 5 a.m. But yeah, no, we all got together and but I'm not saying I had any part of that. I'm just saying I was there, maybe paying attention a little bit. But yeah, Tobin wrote that stuff, and Zay played a part in it too. He's a musician. He's a great musician. So
yeah.
So, Eleanor, did you feel like there was anything in particular that was tough for you to transfer on screen? Maybe like there are certain scenes where there's not quite reality. There's like I don't know how to describe it without spoilers. There's certain parts where there's people who maybe aren't really there, or visions, I guess you could say.
Right.
Was that tough for you to do based on like it using your mind? I know that you are kind of approaching acting as a new thing. You mentioned like this isn't something that you're terribly versed in. So I was curious if you kind of had to figure out techniques to make those scenes work easier for you.
Great question. I would say that the toughest part of all of this for me is I am a very emotive person, like just naturally. Eleanor, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I talk a lot. I'm very like responsive, reactive kind of person, and Jenny is like so not that.
The opposite.
The exact opposite. She keeps everything inside. She doesn't address her feelings, and when she does kind of try to respond to the world, it comes out sideways, and it's kind of really out of adjustment to what's going on because of how she's responding to kind of a lifetime of trauma and tragedies in her family. And so I would say that for me it was knowing everything Eleanor, the actor, needed to know about Jenny, and then having to like just let that be, like I have to know it, but Jenny doesn't know what's going on inside of her. And so that just sort of takes practice. And like I said, I don't know if I already said this, but I was very early on in my training. I was 6 months into my first year of Meisner training, which is hardly training as much as untraining yourself. So I think there are tools that I have now that I'm excited to be able to apply to my work moving forward. But that being said, like I had Spencer there, and Spencer was a really wonderful director and would really walk me through what he wanted, what he envisioned, but also would sort of let me do my thing. He wasn't micromanaging me, but he was so full of ideas and had such a clear vision. And so that combination of like very clear guidelines, but then a lot of freedom to move between them within those guidelines, that was sort of it's just a recipe for success, you know? So, but specifically for those moments, I think that honestly, I think the thing that was the hardest with those sorts of things was the cold. I don't do well in the cold. So when it was cold, I just like atrophy, you know? So there were just, it was April in Detroit. It was like, I think it was like there were a couple days there where it was freezing. It was like, you know, it was like 30. Oh, well, fine, Spencer. You know what? Whatever.
No,
we can talk about that later.
It was negative
But
40
yeah, you know,
degrees on my birthday there. So
say what?
It was negative 40 degrees on my birthday there, January 30th. So.
Like, and people choose to live there. I don't understand, but hey.
Yeah, that's so. Like I said, Toledo's like 40 minutes from there. The weather there, it can be like shortly before we moved here this year, it was snowing like right before May, and I'm like,
exactly,
let's get out of here. Let's go.
So there were some cold days there, but you know, I don't feel as though there was anything. Oh, you know what I will say? There were a couple moments where I did ask for somebody to produce some kind of sound so that I could have a genuine reaction, you know, like to be surprised. I would say that was something that I did ask for some help with, because, you know, you can do it, but you need a level of sort of authenticity. Even if it's not actually scary, you just need something to actually, so you can have an authentic response to a thing. So yeah.
She's so needy, Joe.
I know.
Well, what I will say is, you know, Jennifer, after watching the movie, which was just 2 hours ago, and seeing Jennifer, I did not expect you to be the complete opposite of her. So I think that's a testament to your acting skills, even though,
Thank
you know,
you.
when you started this, you were very, you know, new at that. But yeah, seriously, that's feather in your cap. You did it. Spencer, when I was reading about you, Spencer, I saw, do you have a documentary debut coming up?
Yeah, so the guy we just talked to actually asked me about this too. So the Dex documentary, the story of Dex Osama, is actually already out. It's on YouTube right now. I guess the IMDb didn't update that, but and that's where it's going to be. Its home will be on YouTube. It's a 30-minute piece. But you know, it's really just a ode to this rapper in Detroit that I was really taken by, and I felt the love and passion from a lot of different people about him, and he seemed very misrepresented. So I felt this desire to learn more about it, and it kind of turned into its own thing, and it's something that I hope people can check it out and listen to his music, because he was really going to be good for that city, and he unfortunately, his life got cut short, and it happens too many times. So yeah, I hope that people can check that one out too.
What was his name? I'm sorry
Osama.
Dexter Osama.
Dex Osama.
Dex Osama. Okay, I want to make sure I properly promote it with the stuff, so I can put the YouTube link in there too. Cool. So I don't want to keep you guys too much longer, but I do want to ask a spoilery question. I saved it for towards the end. So if anybody hasn't seen this, you know, click out. But I am curious as to, you know, when I came to the end of the movie, I still had a few questions, you know, in my mind about the some of the visions that Eleanor's character Jenny sees in the movie. I was curious if you could kind of explain those a little bit more for me and other people like me who may not have completely understood every piece of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, this film is really about how different people deal with death, and those dreams she's having are very much, you know, it's how her mind is subconsciously working, and she spends a lot of time during this film kind of pushing away how she's feeling and not really allowing herself to go there, and she finds ways, she finds scapegoats in other people, and she finds ways to kind of not allow her mind to fully, you know, go through those 5 steps maybe. Who knows if they're actually real or whatever, but you know, she finds a way to push off the inevitable, and those are just that's that's leaking of her, you know, it's her mind going to this place. It's her mind finding ways to deal with it. It's her fear. It's her biggest fear. Her first brother died years ago, and you're in this field, and she sees him, and he's a corpse. You know, she hasn't seen him in years, and she's been pushing away, dealing with that. So he's rotted away. You know, and then when you finally see Gonzo out there, he's fresh. He's bare. You know, he's got scars on his face. He's, you know, it's this new opportunity, maybe in a way. You could look at it as that, to deal with something while it's still in front of you before it turns into this demon, you know. And also it's, you know, it might be the afterlife too. You know, I like to, you know, I said I went to art school and I didn't graduate, so I, you know, maybe I only took the bad things out of it, but it's something that I'm working with more. But you know, I do like it. I like to leave things up to interpretation, and I know that that's sometimes a cop out, but I do think it's cool. I think it's cool to have some things that are to debate. You know, there's a couple, I think you can read into it in a lot of ways, like I just was, and then you can also say, you know, there's also other ways you can look at it, and I don't know if there's 100% a right answer.
Well, I love the way that you answered it, especially with the difference, like when you talk about how the brother who had died first, you know, looked like a corpse, and then the other one looked different. And the dissonance between that, it just brings me to the thought of the name Time Now, because you're like, this is now, this is something that I need to deal with now as the character is. So to wrap, Eleanor, do you have anything that you would like to plug, or anything social media wise that you'd like listeners and readers to find you on?
Like, is that your little kitty in the background?
Oh,
Oh, look at her little fur. Oh, she's so cute. Oh my
I didn't even
God.
see her. Yes, look at Boo Boo.
I love her. Sorry, I have a cat, and oh, she's so sweet. He's usually like crawling all over in all of these interviews. I'm just like, if I lock him out, he like yowls at the door. So I'm just, but thankfully, anyway.
It's usually my dog, but I locked him out, and now she's
yeah, great. Yes, she's the queen of the castle now. I mean, sure, I'm on Instagram. If you just search my name, I'll pop up, I think, anyway. And then, I mean, I don't know when this will air, but I'm actually not able to go to the festival because I am in a play in the New York Theater Festival happening in New York right now, which is where I live. So I don't know if, you know, we have 3 shows, and the first one is in 2 days. So maybe it's not going to air before that, but, and then the other things that I have going on, I don't think that I'm actually allowed to talk about yet. I did it. I'm just in one episode of an Amazon show that's coming out at some point. Obviously, I don't know. I don't have the details on it. I think that's all I'm allowed to say. I don't know. I never know. I'm just like, I always go like stay on the side of saying less.
Yeah, just to be safe. Those NDAs will get you.
Yeah, I tend to also overshare, so I'm practicing that.
And
then a friend of mine named Sebastian Sommer is doing his first feature, and he wrote a character with me in mind, which is like the sweetest thing ever. So that will be in the spring, but I don't have any more details on that yet. I think he's still working out the final edits on his script and stuff, but I don't know. I'm hopeful that, you know, more work will come. So, but yeah, I'm just auditioning.
Awesome. So Spencer, is there anything that you'd like to plug at last? Whether it be nope. Okay.
watch the doc, the story of Dex Osama, and I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, but you'll probably mute me pretty soon after. So I mean, yeah, I'll leave that up to.
Okay, and then Time Now premieres on is it the 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay, and that is the festival premiere, and then on the 26th will be when it's on video on demand, correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much, and it has been a pleasure.